Good evening.
Yeah, it's working.
Reverend Fathers, last Cathaoirleach of Leitrim County Council, member of Dáil Éireann, county councillors, distinguished visitors, neighbours and good friends, you're all very welcome here to the launch of the Killenummery and Killary Health and Wellbeing Night. My only job here is to introduce the MC to you, a man you're going to know very well. He was Ireland's Eurovision winner, star of radio and television, former Leitrim Person of the Year, the great man Charlie McGettigan. Will you give him a big round of applause? And can I also say...
This is my hero. I didn't know what he did for years, and now I know he's become my absolute hero, isn't it? Give him a big round of applause.
Thank you, Charlie. And just to say, Charlie is well a Leitrim person. He's been how many years in Leitrim?
It'll be 50 this year.
50 this year. But he's originally from Ballyshannon. And we have great connections in the parish here with Donegal. We have our parish priest here who's going to entertain you with Michael O'Brien. He's from Mount Charles. And before that, a number of years ago, we had a great man here who did a lot of work called Father Sammy Holmes. And Sammy isn't with us anymore, but he was another good man from Donegal. So I'll hand you over now to Charlie.
Thanks, Hubert. It's great to be. It's only my second time in Killenummery, but I've become well aware of what Hubert does. He started these Leitrim's Health as Wealth events in Carrick-on-Shannon the first week. Are you all right there, Father? That's just. And this is Mac, by the way, here. But he started these events about 7 or 8 years ago. And the first event, I think, had about 400 people. The last one had 1,200 people turned up. They had to open another venue to let people in. And I remember I was there that particular night. And you know, when you're famous like me, a woman asked me, could she get a selfie? And I was getting a selfie, and it was lovely. And then some other woman saw her getting a selfie. And the next thing, there was a big queue of people getting selfies. And there was one little old lady left at the end. And she said, can I get it? And she said, yeah, right. He wants a selfie too. But she looked up and she said, can I get a selfie? And as she's taking the selfie, she says, who are you anyway? You know. I said, maybe the television? Ah, no, it's a fellow up the road fixes our television. But anyway, we're here tonight to launch the Killenummery and Killary Health Wellbeing event, which is going to be coming up on the 29th. Is that right? By 29th of August. And September, is it? Oh my God, I'm living in the future or the past. Can't make up my mind. But we're going to start off the evening with some, incidentally, we're being filmed and live streamed by John Flynn over there. So at the moment, if you want to comb your hair now or anything, get yourself looking nice, because you're going to be on YouTube live, and you'll be able to go in and tell your friends to look at it afterwards as well. Funny, everybody now has iPads and iPhones and the devil, and I was my little Olivia, my granddaughter, she was in our house one day. We were trying to find the children's channel on my television, and in the process I said to her, you know, Olivia, when I was your age we didn't have television. And she looked at me and she said, could you not have looked at it on your phone? You know, it's a logical thing to do. I'm going to introduce the musician now, Michael O'Brien, who is one of the nicest and best people, and not only that, but he's a great musician and highly regarded. No matter what part of the world you go to, people know, whether it be Boston, New York, Australia, everybody knows Michael O'Brien. And we were to have Pat Sweeney, who may turn up, but he's a great banjo player as well. But you can just imagine him there. Just imagine, he's a great banjo player. And we're also having Father Patsy on his piano accordion. Give them a big round of applause and good attention. Thanks very much. We did our best.
Lovely chat.
I didn't tell you, I'm the chairman. It means I lift the chairs. Now you can see all these people better. Don't they look great? Yeah. They've all gone to the beautician before they came here. We're going to introduce the panel too, but before I do, there are a number of people down there. There are representatives of Northwest Hospice down there. We have we've got Marion Harkin. We're just talking to her down there. Marion, do you ever take a rest? You seem to be on the move. The last time I was talking to you, Marion, it was at Dublin Airport at about 6 in the morning, and you were heading off to Brussels. And I said, God, who would want to do that job? But give her a big round of applause, Marion Harkin. We have Bernie Lenan here from the Rape Crisis Centre. Where are you, Bernie? Oh, there she is. Good to have you with us. It's good to have you here. Now, up here on the stage, we have Valerie Cogan over there, presenter. She's going to be the presenter on the night on the 29th September of the Killenummery and Killary Health and Wellbeing event. She's a huge help to Hubert down the years. And as a matter of fact, I think you were a double act, really, weren't you, Hubert? But I think she did most of the work and you just looked on. Yeah. She's a community mental health nurse and cares for the elderly. And she works out of Ballymote and she lives in Ballindoon. Good to have you here, Valerie. She does fantastic work. Martina Mitchell, I had the pleasure of meeting Martina Mitchell in the gin factory down in Drumshanbo, which is the Shed Distillery where they make the gunpowder gin. You'll have to all go there. I give it a plug every time I go anywhere. And she has a fantastic story to tell. She won't be telling it to you tonight, but if you come along on the 29th, which that particular 29th September, you will hear both a harrowing story, but a very positive story as well. It's sort of success out of depression and all kinds of other problems. That's Martina Mitchell. You're welcome, Martina. I had a long chat with Tracy Kelly, who here, she's chairperson of the Leitrim GAA Health and Wellbeing Committee. And just for the 10 minutes that I was talking to her, the amount of work that is being done within the organisation of the GAA with people like Colin Regan, who will be with you on the 29th of September. But this is your local representative, Tracy Kelly. Give her a big round of applause. We've also got a few politicians here as well. I see Enda Stenson down there at the back, and his co-county council worker, Sean McDermott is here. He's the Deputy Cathaoirleach of Leitrim County Council. He's going to talk to you later on. Have you ever met a politician that didn't talk? You know. Carole Coleman is here, and Carole will be officially launching the event later on. She's works, of course, for RTE News, but she's had a number of books. My wife has kept this one under the bed for a while, the book that she brought out, which details what it was. It's kind of a diary, what it was like during the pandemic. It's something that in 20 or 30 or 50 years' time, people are going to read this and, you know, be marveling at how we got through the whole COVID-19 episode. It's called From Under a Coat Stand, and also she has a book called Hallelujah America, or Alleluia America. She also interviewed George Bush, which is not many people can say that. Give Carole Coleman a big welcome. Thank you. And over here behind me, I don't know, will you give them a wave there, Ed? Yeah. That's Dr. Ed O'Mahony. He's a consultant psychiatrist, and he's also the executive clinical director of Sligo Leitrim Mental Health Service. I don't know whether you're going to speak to us tonight, Ed, but good to have. It's good to have her with us. Give him a big round of applause. Now, we're going to have some more entertainment for you now. The McPadden family. Do you all know who the McPadden family are? Yeah. Hubert, will you go out there and be chairman for a second? Go out there and be chairman. In other words, get the chairs onto the stage. You have to get them to do something, don't you, really? The McPadden family are going to play some music first now, and they're also going to, don't forget to leave a bit of space for the dancing as well, Hubert. Leave a bit of space for the dancing. There's going to be a bit of a dance here as well. Yeah, he does that very well, I think. You get a job as a chairperson anywhere, Hubert, without a doubt. So would you welcome Muireann on the concertina, Nath on the flute, Fergal on tin whistle, and Sean Nose dancing, and Lorcan on dancing. Give them a big round of applause. Oh yes, and Granny Moira is with them as well, Moira McMorrow, so she's going to be there as well.
Jonathan, that's her granddaughter now. And the daughter playing the accordion, I think.
The McCadden family. Give them a big round of applause. Wasn't Lorcan great there? That was the dancer. Great. And this is kind of an appropriate song after Lorcan has been on. I hope you find the feet of a dancer. I hope you can sing in the rain. I hope you find all the easy answers to your pain. It won't be easy, but what can I say? 'Cause there will be trouble on the way, and around every corner, the terror and tears. But always remember that we're here. Let's hear you sing if you know it. And I hope you find the feet of a dancer. I hope you can sing in the rain. I hope you find all the easy answers to your pain. And I hope you find love and affection. I hope you find someone who'll care. I hope you find all the right directions everywhere. Everywhere. A shoulder to cry on whenever you're alone. You can rely on us, you know. 'Cause there's nothing too crazy and there's nothing too dear. Just always remember that we're here. I hope you find the feet of a dancer. I hope you can sing in the rain. I hope you find all the easy answers to your pain. And I hope you find love and affection. I hope you find someone who'll care. I hope you find all the right directions everywhere. Everywhere. And even when the rain comes falling down, and oh, it's a falling down on you, I hope you find the feet of a dancer. I hope you can sing in the rain. I hope you find all the easy answers to your pain. And I hope you find love and affection. I hope you find someone who'll care. I hope you find all the right direction everywhere. 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 Always remember that we're here. Feet of a dancer. Feet of a dancer. Thank you very much. Thank you. I had to get my notes to remember where I was. We're going to have somebody now to talk to us. Deputy Cathaoirleach of Leitrim County Council. Will you welcome Sean McDermott? Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie. Delighted to be here. I suppose, just thinking there as Charlie as chairperson, I remember being MC in the Rainbow a couple of years ago at one stage. Some of the women were throwing up some of their garments. And, God, I said, this is great. But Nathan Carter was behind me, and they were for him, not for me. I just want to recognise Deputy Harkin, Councillor Stenson, Councillor Dolan, Phelim Gordon, Councillor Phelim Gordon sent his apologies, so I just want to give them a mention. I've been given a few notes here, so I need my glasses. I'm honoured as last Cathaoirleach of Leitrim County Council to be asked to launch the launch of this health and wellbeing event here in Killenummery. It has often been said in the past that your health is your wealth. With today's hectic lifestyle and pressures associated with things such as school, college, work, finding a place to live, social media, as well as challenges such as addiction, it has never been more true to say your health and indeed your well-being is your wealth. Promoting positive health and well-being is important for people of all ages in every community in Ireland. Raising the awareness of positive health, well-being and benefits, not only for individuals, but also for a wider community and society as a whole. Events such as this, with a wide variety of knowledgeable guest speakers, will experience from a multitude of aspects of mental health, being invaluable to encouraging people in their local communities to seek help with issues that may experience in their personal lives. The old saying of problems shared is a problem halved is indeed true by talking through problems or issues. Someone is easier to cope with and promote the prospects of well-being and mental health. I hope all of those in attendance find the event educational, information, I found forward to hearing the contributions from the guests. If one person attending this event is encouraged enough to seek help and address the issue or problems they have, then this has been a very worthwhile exercise. Finally, I would like to congratulate the committee of Killenummery and Killary Community Hub and their spokesperson, Hubert McHugh, and indeed his team, for the foresight to organise this event and to promote the positive health and well-being in rural communities such as this. And I suppose when I saw the music here on the stage, I know as councillors and politicians, it's not that long ago, we're just over the road in the National School. And we saw what the community is doing here. And indeed, with the teachers, with the community and parents, the one in All Ireland. And it's not easy winning on All Ireland. The one for farm safety. And it was great to see. And there was lovely food there, and I've no doubt when this is over, there'll be food here for us as well later on. I've no doubt. To give Patsy a mention as well, he's a character and he's loved by his parishioners. I know that from talking to them. The hub, in general, a lot of communities in rural Ireland are coming up and associated with hubs in their communities. Very important. And I think this has and I've no doubt, with the strength of this community, they will make a go of this hub. And it needs to be rolled out in every parish. You know, when you hear the likes of Dublin looking for another city, going to be as big as Galway, where's the sense of that when we can keep our people in our rural communities? And we have the aim for that. So well done to this parish, and I've no doubt you will go from strength to strength. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sean, rather. That was really good. Thanks a million. Good to have you here. I just want to acknowledge that Maura Heffernan, Director of Nursing in Sligo University Hospital, is here as well. Maybe you'd welcome her as well. How many of you are up early on a Saturday morning, early enough to hear Countrywide? Have you heard Countrywide? It's a great kind of farming community programme presented by Damien O'Reilly. Well, the good news is that Damien is coming down here to do a programme from Killenummery, and Hubert gave me that flashing news. So, God, he can get anybody, can't he? No doubt. I don't know what he has. He even got me to come down here. No doubt about it. We're going to come to the formality of the moment now, and to launch Killenummery's Leitrim's Health is Wealth event, would you welcome again Carole Coleman.
Oh, thanks a million. It's absolutely lovely to be here, and thanks for inviting me to this launch. I mean, I've been reading about this in The Observer for years and paying attention to it, and it really has. This event has become, I suppose, a shining fixture in Leitrim, where we see and hear Leitrim people from all different backgrounds speak out about mental health, about their personal trials and tribulations, and of course about the need to keep focusing on this long neglected part of all of us. I mean, our good mental health is really what allows each and every one of us individuals to function and take part in the world that we find ourselves in. Good mental health allows us to find our place in our own family, at home, in our community, in our school, wherever it is we're operating. It allows us to cope with the good and the bad that inevitably turns up with all of us, given that we all have roughly an 85-year lifespan, I think, on this earth. Some say that today's kids are going to live into their hundreds. So, of course, you can't, 102, 103, you can't get to that age without, befalling some bad things as well as some good things. So that resilience, that mental health is so important. And unfortunately, not all of us are blessed with good, strong mental health. As rural people here as well, I think it's very important that we keep this conversation open, that you, with the Health and Wellbeing Night every year, have really opened in this county. I suppose, I think there is a bit of a caricature about Leitrim still, and I've worked all over the place, and people still have this version of Leitrim that's kind of a bit, underpopulated, sparsely populated place full of all bachelors who are kind of struggling under the weight of the farm and isolation and all this. And my God, if you read Michael Harding in the Irish Times, you'd think we were all cowering under this constant cloud of rain and loneliness and just terrible, everything's terrible. It is true that, there is, obviously, there have been a lot of very sad cases where people become hopeless enough to take their own lives, and that is certainly a concern. But I think we also know from the profile of people who are now beginning to speak out that this is really part of every walk of life. I mean, people who have poor mental health, or in some cases the more common anxiety, which we all suffer from time to time, they're in our classrooms, they're in our universities, we're talking about people on our sports teams, we're talking about people in prison, we're talking about people who are living in precarious accommodation situations, maybe on the verge of becoming homeless. We're talking about men and women who are still afraid to express who they really are in terms of their sexuality. There's so many different classes of people. Like, who of us know when we walk down the street and say hello to a person and they nod or smile back or say hello or pass a bit of the time of day with you? Who of us knows what's going on behind the scenes with that person? We really don't. And we do come to know these things eventually, sometimes if bad news leaks out. But I always love the way we're always willing to tell everybody about our hospital stay or our surgery or the aching hip or the cataracts. But who of us are going to say, oh, I'm terribly depressed, I really don't feel like I can go on? Who among us are going to tell friends I'm being abused by my partner or even my adult son or daughter and I just can't take it anymore? I suppose, who's going to say I have a gambling addiction and I think I've reached the end of the road, I'm destroying my family, I'm losing everything we have? Most people still tend to think that it's better to keep these things to themselves, and that's just the way we're built as humans. It's embarrassing, it's not something we want to share. How many of us will sit and tell a boss in work, I'm going to need some time off, I'm going through a rough time, mentally. We're afraid to do it because we're afraid we'll be sidelined in work. There's something wrong with you, or we're afraid others will find out and then they'll talk. So I think events like the Killenummery and Killarry Community Hub Health and Wellbeing Night are really important. As others share their experiences with you, you learn from them. We learn from them. We learn that we're not alone. We learn that it's okay not to feel okay, that phrase that has become very popular in recent years. We also learn from listening to people that there are actual words that you can put on how you feel. And maybe all as we need to do is appropriate some of those words so that we ourselves have the means to talk about our state of mental health, or in many cases, our anxiety. And what we learn is that there is help available. But of course, that last point opens up a whole other messy, maddening, infuriating debate. Is there enough of that help available? Is there the right type of help available? Is it in the right places? The slow opening up of mental health as a topic of conversation in Ireland has certainly resulted in more listening ears in the wonderful volunteer organisations that we have around the country. And there's no doubt that those listening ears have served lives. But I think what most people who go and seek help need, or who are encouraged to seek help, probably need is a timely diagnosis and treatment, which doesn't mean next year or in 2024. It means right now, or as soon as possible. A vision for change, and I know some of our other speakers here know a lot more about this than I do, was the plan to reform our mental health system in Ireland. And some would argue that while the vision is all there, that the staff are still not all there, or perhaps the political will to contribute the funding to that. So while things are slowly changing for the better, and we've seen the replacement of many of our older mental institutions, and remember the locked wards and all that, we've seen that gradually replaced with more community-based services. But the truth is that we're still playing a huge game of catch-up here. On radio this week, just on Morning Ireland on Monday, I heard that 5.6% of our health budget goes to mental health. But the reckoning is that that should be at least double, at least 12%. We also heard the president of the College of Psychiatrists in Ireland saying that our government, by not putting this at centre stage, is putting patients at risk. And that is scary to hear that. We know that COVID has increased the need for more services, or I suppose it's increased all of our anxiety. Charlie mentioned my recently published diary, News from Under a Coat Stand, and I documented, day by day, week by week during that first lockdown, how we all had to stay apart from family, from friends, how many of us weren't able to grieve for people who we lost. We didn't have the community of the funeral with friends and family coming round. How many young people missed out on opportunities, whether it was educational or social. Some people that, got into bad habits maybe during that time with addictions or with drink. But it was a time, the last 2 years, 2020 and 2021, it can certainly be said, tested us all mentally and physically. I mean, I just can't count the number of laps of Carrick and Shannon I either walked or ran, trying to stay sane during that time. So I suppose, as a journalist, I still don't get the impression that this is being put really centre stage, mental health, and the issues that so many people are going through. It is on the stage, for sure, but it needs to be brought more centre stage. And I think that, when we hear that up to a quarter of mental health units don't have a fully qualified consultant psychiatrist, that is worrying. We also hear that it's very hard to recruit consultant psychiatrists and people to work in the units. So maybe something needs to be done to promote more people to go into this as a career. We hear that certain parts of the country, it's very hard to get any medics to work in the positions that are available. We're all shocked to hear about the CAMS service in Kerry just a few months ago, where it turned out that children and teenagers were being over-prescribed certain medications that turned out to have a detrimental effect on a number of them, and that is being resolved at the moment. But it just shows you what a precarious situation we're in. So I guess while we wait for all of this to change, and it will hopefully change, we help ourselves, which is, I suppose, is why we're all here tonight. And I won't go through all the names again, but next month, on the 29th of September, you'll be hearing from a range of speakers who are good enough to share their stories and their expertise. And also Martina Mitchell, who is here today and has her personal story, which is really a story of resilience. And I have read Martina's story, and I can tell you you're in for, a very difficult but very, very resilient story from Martina. So best of luck with that, Martina, next month. And just to finish off, I mean, I myself feel I'm very blessed with a robust mental health. I have a few wobbly years during my teenage years where I, just didn't get enough attention for what reason or other, and things were bad. But I don't take my good mental health for granted. I do have experience of visiting over a long number of years a friend of mine who struggles a lot. And I do get it that you can't just say, hey, snap out of it, or get dressed, get out of bed, get out and get some fresh air for yourself. Somebody who has, a diagnosable mental illness needs an awful lot more than that, and that's where we need to be. But I'm really proud to be here tonight, where mental health is being taken seriously, and I'm proud to be associated with this Health and Wellbeing Night, and with Hubert and Valerie and Tracy and everybody who are working so hard to make it all happen. So all I can say is best of luck on September 29th, best of luck to all the speakers, because what you're doing is absolutely vital. Be it launched.
That's one of the best launch speeches I've heard in years. Well done, Carole. That was just brilliant. He didn't want to speak, but as usual, Hubert persuaded him to. So he's going to say a few words to you now. He's the consultant psychiatrist and also the executive clinical director of Sligo Mental Health Service. Would you welcome Dr. Ed Mahoney?
Thanks, Charlie. It's actually Sligo Leitrim Mental Health Service. That's quite important. No, I wasn't going to say anything tonight, but just hearing Carole talking about the funding for mental health as a proportion of the overall health budget, and Dr. William Flannery did talk about this in Morning Ireland earlier in the week, 5.6%, really we should be over 12%, and that's a constant struggle that we are constantly trying to get HSE people to promote mental health as part of the budget, because without money we can't provide the services. So, and you're right as well about recruiting. Recruiting is extremely difficult, but we are doing all we can to try and make that happen. What I did want to say also as well is that I think Hubert McHugh I think he must be some sort of a magician or something, because he has done something really extraordinary in Leitrim for the last few years with the Leitrim Health is Wealth, which is just assembling just really, really fantastic speakers on a night and creating an atmosphere. I think then just maybe sprinkling it with some sort of magic dust, I don't know what it is, and Self and Valerie. And then this conversation and this meeting happens where people talk about stuff that's just so ordinary, because mental health is real. Mental health problems are real. Everybody in this room has had worries. Lots of people in this room have had times when the worries have got really, really severe and almost unbearable. And for some people, that becomes overwhelming, and for some people, it's an illness. But, these things are normal, these things are real, they're happening everywhere. And to be able to kind of bring it into the parish, like, I suppose the Leitrim's Health as well was a grander scale thing. This is really bringing it all home for people to be able to have that conversation right in their own community. And I think it's an extraordinary thing. And, Leitrim people can be rightly proud of the fact that they've been ahead of the game, for many years on this. And now in your own parish, you're really ahead of the game in having this sort of an evening. So well done to you all, and well done to Hubert and Valerie.
no, he has the guitar again. I've been asked by Hubert to sing this one, and I suppose it's one of the positive things that happened for Leitrim back in 1994 when Leitrim won the Connacht final for the first time. But it's great to be able to say they won the Eurovision Song Contest the same year. If you know it, I'd love to hear you joining in. I remember 62. I was 16 and so were you, and we lived next door on the avenue. Jerry Lee was big and Elvis too. Blue jeans and blue suede shoes, and we never knew what life held in store. We just wanted to rock and roll forevermore. Anybody know this? We were the rock and roll kids. Rock and roll was all we did, and listening to those songs on the radio. I was yours and you were mine. That was once upon a time. Now we never seem to rock and roll anymore. Who can remember the other fella's name? Come on. Paul Harrington, of course. And it was kind of a city meets rural, the two of us, but we ended up playing the Christmas after we won in a care centre for older people up near Drumshanbo there. And you can imagine how annoyed we were when we went in there. Not one person in the place had a clue who we were. And I got this old lady up against the wall and said, "Do you know who I am?" She said, "I don't, but if you ask the nurse, she'll tell you." Now Johnny's in love with the girl next door, and Mary's down at the record store. They don't want to be round us no more. Golden oldies, but we hardly speak. Too busy running to a different beat. Hard to understand that we were once like them. How I wish we could find those rock and roll days again. We were the rock and roll kids. Rock and roll was all we did, and listening to those songs on the radio. I was yours and you were mine, and that was once upon a time. Now we never seem to rock and roll anymore. Remember that same day we were in the old folks' home, and I ended up talking to this old lady. She was bedbound. She couldn't really get out of the bed, but it was one of those tables, you know, that go across the bed and you can have your dinner off it and that. And there was a bowl of peanuts sitting on the table, and as I was chatting to her, I was nibbling away at the peanuts, and next thing I looked, I was after eating almost the entire bowl of peanuts, and I said, "God, missus, I'm sorry, I'm after eating all your peanuts." She said, "Don't worry, son. Since I lost my teeth, I can only suck the chocolate off them anyhow." I was yours and you were mine. That was once upon a time. Now we never seem to rock and roll. We just never seem to rock and roll anymore. Killenummery, 12 points. Thank you. Thanks. We're going to ask Father Patsy to come up, and he's going to play a few tunes if Michael is still there. Is Michael still there? Michael, where are you? But he's also going to wish you good night and maybe say a few words to you, maybe give a 20-minute sermon just to get...
Intervention start and the hospice, Mary.
Yeah.
We have people from the hospice here and the STOP organisation, which does such great work for suicide people. Hubert, you tell them who is here, because I can't remember. I'm older than you, you know.
Not much.
No, there was just one person you wanted to mention.
Well, Mary Forte is from Northwest Hospice, and she's here. And Deirdre Higgins here from STOP, and Leah Cole is here.
Give them a big round of applause, too. Do you want to say a few words?
I think you can, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say a few words. Not a long sermon, as my parishioners know. I don't speak that long. Just distinguished guests, to say it's great to be here, and thank you for coming along for this very special evening. And you know, as you notice, I have my little dog, Mac. And in the whole, throughout COVID, that has been a little lifeline. Because for people living alone, and you know, we live in a rural community, and there's a lot of people living alone. There are the bachelors, there are the spinsters, there are those who are bereaved, and those who are sick and housebound. And the greatest thing you can have is a little companion. And that's a great little companion to me. The only thing is, you've got to be able to care for it. That's what's very important. Sometimes people think if you're on your own, or you have a little mental issue, we should get you a little animal. Not so. I don't believe animals for pets or for sick people or unwell people. But that is a tremendous little colleague, a little companion, especially when you're on your own. Why? Because it takes the focus off yourself. And you all know that when you've been going through that COVID, you're inclined to go into yourself. Isn't that true? You know, it's amazing how many people have not as yet taken a holiday, maybe even myself, because it's difficult to take that step. We've been living alone in a little insular world for 2 years. So it's difficult to break that mold and to get out again and to mix and get through people. Now, we talk about mental health, we talk about the importance of healthy eating, we talk about the importance of exercise, we talk about the importance of, you know, getting out in the environment and meeting people. But, you know, tonight that we've gathered here, there's been a lot of guest speakers, which has been tremendous to hear. But there's also been music, there's camaraderie, there's going to be a wee cup of tea now in a moment. The ladies are putting the kettles on and getting the grub ready. There's nothing as good for your mental health as music, creativity. Get out and paint or draw. Music, it lifts the heart, it lifts the soul. And that's one of the things that I'm hoping here in our little hub that we'll get going, that there'll be an evening here, be it once a month or maybe once a week, where we can gather here in this centre. And it's a beautiful centre, underutilised. And that people will come and everyone can have a chance to sing a song, maybe dance, maybe not as good as Larkin, play a bit of music, concertinas, concert flute, brilliant musicians. And Leitrim is talented when it comes to music. Isn't that right, Michael?
That's right.
Absolutely talented. Great talent. And so we have it here on stage. We have it in music, we have it in literature, we have it in song. And, you know, so we're bringing all that hopefully to the fore, be that once a week or once a month. It don't matter who you are. You can gather here and we'll make a night out of it, and it'll lift the heart. The last parish I was in, we used to have it every Tuesday night. And initially it'd begun with myself and a group of men meeting in the house. We'd have music. And I said, lads, it's getting too small. So we headed to the hall. And the hall was struggling because it was underutilised. And there were 2 women running the whole hall. And they'd be paying bills, and they might be putting £20 out for the ESB this month and holding back and trying to gather another wee bit for the following month. But it just wasn't working. So we moved into the hall, and we said, we're going to invite people to come to the hall, and bring your instruments, because you know and I know they're up over the dresser or they're in the wardrobe, and people have given up on this marvellous talent and creativity because there's no place to exercise that creativity. So whenever we can meet and come together like this is so important, and so important for our mental health. Yes, as Sean McDermott said, we're very proud of our parish here. And yes, we're going to make a difference, and we're going to reach out. We'll do every effort to reach out. But we also acknowledge people can only respond in their own time, in their own way. Looking out here, looking up here, it could be any one of us next week when it comes to tragedy. It don't matter how brilliant you are, how healthy you are, but just like that, you could hit rock bottom. So it's so important to encourage one another, to reach out to one another, and to gather whenever you can in a healthy and friendly environment, and to watch out for one another. It's amazing how society has changed. One time, you'd know everybody in your area, isn't that right? People are moving in now, and they don't really want us intruding on them. In the past, if you come into a rural area, I know myself up in Mount Charles, maybe you could be in Glencoe, and the boys next door would say, "What's your name? You're not from round here." And you thought, "They're awful bloody nosy." But you know, it was a safety valve, wasn't it, for the community? And if and there was sense in that. To know your neighbour, to know who's next door, respect the boundaries. Boundaries are important. It makes for good neighbours. But that doesn't mean we can't reach out and care for one another. So we can do it in little steps, little ways. And we all have that ability to reach out and to care. But it must happen into your creativity, be that in music or art, or be it in sports. Get out there and do your bit and keep healthy and keep happy and keep reaching out. Thanks to Carole Coleman for coming along, for speaking to us, and for sharing. We appreciate that. Thanks again to Sean. And we have Tracy, very much involved in the GAA. Hopefully she'll bring a whole gang here for the 29th of September. We hope, fingers crossed. And Michelle, and we have Valerie as well. Tracy, didn't I say? And of course, Dr. Ed, we're delighted you're here too. And of course, the man that's keeping us all together, I have to say, is Charlie. So just round of applause for Charlie. And then in the background, you have these excellent people. The ladies are looking after the teas in the background. You have the lads that have been coming here and putting out the chairs and tidying the place and cleaning and getting things ready. In particular, I'm naming Kevin and I'm naming Jerry. Kevin Torsney and Jerry. John here is working on the camera. Dean has been here and he's been running around looking after things as well. Anybody, of course, Hubert. Big round of applause for Hubert. Hubert, as you know, does Trojan work, and he's very humble about that. He'll not come to the fore at all, but works away in the background. But we know all that he contributes to the community, and he's very much appreciated. Isn't that right, Chrissy? He's very much appreciated by us all. Who else, Hubert, have I to thank now? The guys that park the cars. Lads park. Oh, there's loads of lads out there helping and parking cars. Nobody else. But you know who you are. Thank you most sincerely. And for getting the posters and getting everything ready. This is only a little launch, as you see, so we push out, hopefully come the 29th. Mairead, who did the posters, and we appreciate all that. So, as I said, we're just pushing the boat out a wee bit. We hope we'll have a great event here on the 29th, and people are coming from all over, and hopefully we'll have the McPadden family, and Granny McMorrow will be back as well as Michael here, which we might have Paddy maybe the next time. But thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it. And can I just add another wee thing very important is your spirituality, to be spiritual people. There's spirituality and there's religion. Anyone can have spirituality. We're spiritual beings, and that's important. So it's important that we acknowledge that, and so our spirituality keeps us going as well. It's our religion that can be the wind to our back and gets us through these problems. Because there's a lot of despair out there, because our faith has been chipped and chipped away all the time. It's been knocked all the time. And in the end, what do you turn to? And that's frightening. People despair. So it's so important to treasure and value your faith, because it's our faith that gives us something to focus on. I'm thinking today of the people of Ukraine. This is their Independence Day, isn't that right? Many people displaced. They have lost their homes. They're no longer in their homeland. That's why that beautiful song, and we're all singing at the start. What was the first one we sang? No, not that one. That's a good one. The Leitrim song. Lovely Leitrim. All about in exile. Isn't that right, being in exile? So we also pay tribute to the Ukrainian people, who are not too far from us, who are displaced from their homeland, who know what it is, mental well-being. And, you know, they're scarred as it is. So we just extend and we reach out to them and wish them well on this, their Independence Day, even though they're not home as yet, but they will be, because good will triumph, I believe, over the evil. And they will have their victory in time. Thanks very much for yourselves for coming along, and thanks to everybody. I've said too much. That's the longest sermon I've given this.
The tune begin.
I haven't a clue, but after.
I haven't a clue whether I'll follow you, if I know it. No, you pick them. You pick the numbers.
I think it's time for tea.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Father. Thank you, sir.
Big round of applause for Father Patsy and for Michael. Great stuff. Enjoy your evening. Thanks a million for having us, and see you again sometime soon.